Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Unvaulted podcast. I am your host, Squatingdog, but my best friends call me Jer, short for Jeremy, short for Jeremiah, and even shorter for Jeremiathan. Welcome to this podcast that we are calling Leaking 101. And you're probably wondering what the heck that means. If some of you out there probably have no clue what leaking is, and you're like, I do that, but it's a private matter. But today we are going to talk about what that looks like in the game of Fortnite. And we have the perfect person to help us through all of this. We have our guest on the show today. His name is FireMonkey, and he is an incredible content creator and leaker for our community, has a massive following, and is a hilarious individual, one that I respect and am so grateful he said yes to be on this podcast. His name is FireMonkey. FireMonkey, what's up, dude?
Not much. What's going on with you?
That is actually the chat right now. That's a live. We just opened the audio to the chat, and that's all that happened. What's up, man?
Not much. What's up with you?
I am so excited to have you on, and I have so many questions for you that I have prepared, and some of them will be embarrassing. Some of them will be amazing, and I think ultimately everyone will come to the agreement that we love you by the end of this podcast. That's my goal today.
All right, that's nice to hear. I like that goal.
And so I'm gonna give you guys a layout. If you guys are listening to the podcast, this is how it's gonna run. Okay, we're gonna talk, get to know, understand who is underneath the FireMonkey brand. We're gonna ask some quick, hard questions that no one else seems to want to ask him, called hip fire, where I ask them as quick as possible. FireMonkey responds as fast as possible. We're gonna have a word from our sponsor. We are going to jump into Fortnite, into leaking, and into where he thinks the state of the game is and what that looks like. And then we are going to finish with your fans, not mine, a favorite segment where I go through all of your social medias and find the questions that you are too afraid to ask and you weren't quick enough to ban them. So that is the layout of the land. How you feeling about that, FireMonkey?
I'm feeling great about it. I'm excited to see how this goes.
Great. And this is your first podcast, right?
Yep.
Great. So you're technically a podcast virgin, and we are going to just destroy. Okay. I want to go in that way, but hey, we are excited to have you here, man, and get you into the podcasting scene. This is my third podcast, so I'm fairly new to it, and my favorite part are the interviews, because we have some incredible people in the Fortnite community that I think need to be highlighted, and you are one of them. So my first question for you, FireMonkey, is why in the world is your name FireMonkey?
Okay, so the reason behind the name FireMonkey isn't probably as interesting as people think it is. So I used to have an old username back in like 2008, 2007, like a long time ago. One day, my dad came to me and was like, hey, your username sucks, you need to change it. So while making a Minecraft account, I'm sitting there just trying to think for like an hour what to make my name. And FireMonkey just came up out of nowhere, and that became my name. That's it.
That's amazing. So wait, what was your name before FireMonkey?
Oh God. So I was definitely not good at names, and my real life name, as most people know, is Ricky. Well, my old usernames was either Ricky Mom Dad or Ricky Dad Mom.
What is the relevance of that?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to go to the past and figure that one out.
That's amazing. Okay, and then on your Twitter, it's kind of confusing though, because you have I in front of it. What's up with that?
Yeah, so if I could, I would have just gone with FireMonkey, but that Twitter account's been inactive and taken since like 2007. So I was like, the best next thing is FireMonkey, just because, you know, it's like, it still gets the point across without having like random numbers, underscores, and stuff in it.
Yeah, it's kind of got that prehistoric vibe, like I am Groot, like I am FireMonkey. That's great.
I see that.
So I have the same issue. Somebody has Squatingdog. I have to have the in front of my name. So we find some creative ways of doing that. And I'm so bummed because it's some dude who probably just created it and just thinks it's hilarious and probably thinks it's spelled correctly. And it's taken. I'm like, dang it, man. Like, how do we get, you know, the big guys, their names. That would be kind of cool to figure out. Okay, so second question for you before we get into hip fire here is what are you known for in the Fortnite community? Why do we have you on this podcast? Why should people want to know who you are as a content creator and as a leaker?
I'm known for, on update nights, waking up or being up, not sleeping at 4 a.m, waiting for a new Fortnite update in order to post all the new and unreleased content before Fortnite themselves adds it to the game.
Okay, so you have been waking up at 4 a.m. for how long now?
Since like Chapter 1, Season 4.
So you have lost your sleep schedule for a few years, pretty much.
Yeah, and when I had first started, I was still in like high school, so it was definitely worse back then.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then what's crazy is like time zones, man. So there's some people, I don't know where in the world it is. Maybe somebody can give us like some insight to that. If you like wake up and you have like the item shop, all that stuff there. I'm similar. I'm in California, so I have to wake up 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. To be able to post cheat sheets and content that way. And so I've been doing that since the beginning of the game, which is crazy. So a lot of people don't realize this, but like if you're a leaker and you are in a bad time zone, you are waking up for way too early to provide content for people to look at. So you've been doing that for a while then.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't even like go to sleep, and it's like the worst choices ever.
I bet. So are you sleep deprived? Like, has this job, or I guess job, caused any like stress because of that?
I would say like right when like an update night happens, depending on how I go about handling it, I may be a little like sleep deprived during the time. But since this is like my job or whatever, I'm able to like sleep in the middle of the day as long as I've already got my content out. So it kind of like balances out a little bit. It's just a completely messed up sleep schedule in general, though.
That's crazy. So I was scrounging through your YouTube and Twitter for questions, and this one felt like an appropriate one to ask at the very beginning. And that question comes from Cruel Main 5116 on Twitter. He asks, if Fortnite never existed, where do you think you would be right now?
Oh man, if Fortnite never existed. So actually it's kind of interesting because like I've tried doing YouTube back in like 2009, back when I didn't even have I had a webcam, but it didn't have a microphone built into it. And if Fortnite never existed, I never got into leaking Fortnite, I'd probably be in college right now pursuing a degree in information technology.
And you feel like because Fortnite existing has given you a platform now to be able to do the things that you would love?
Yeah, if Fortnite never existed, I have no clue. Like, it would just be completely different today.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome. Okay, so I think before we go into Hipfire, we need to kind of talk about how we met and how this all kind of came to be. But before we do that, I'm curious, and this is a new segment. PM, can you give us the first impression song, please? FireMonkey, and you can be totally candid, okay? Like if you deliver too much hate right now, I can just end the podcast. So the podcast continues. If this podcast is longer than like 15 minutes or whatever, then you didn't offend me enough. What was your first impression of me?
So back when I first ever heard of you, so like I just knew you as like the dude who made the cheat sheets for Fortnite challenges. I didn't even like pay that much attention to. I was just like, oh, these are super helpful, and that's kind of like how I originally had my impression of you. I never knew you did streaming or anything at the time.
Okay, so I was just like some random. Did you imagine me as like a corporation or just a random person out there on the internet that just kind of does this?
I didn't think you were a corporation, especially since I would always find the cheat sheets like on Reddit. So I just assumed it's some guy who who just decided to use his spare time to be extra helpful. And I was like, all right, I enjoyed him.
Great, that's great. So my first impression of you is funny because, and I don't know if this is true for other people, but I kind of get this impression that leakers are kind of intense, generally speaking, like in the sense of they've got they've got places to be. They're kind of like the person that like it just is jetting past you to get where they need to be. That's my assumption of every leaker. That's not true. And I think you are the first person that broke that as like, no, they're people that are really fun and kind and awesome. Because like I like followed you and you started just posting random stuff that was about your personality. I think you've like switched to 2 accounts now, but I loved all of your personality posts over like the leaking stuff because you were funny about it. Like you would post really funny responses to other leakers, and I just thought you were hysterical. So that got me really excited about actually getting to know you. And now since we both, are streaming, we're both on Twitch. You guys can check out his stuff. I'm going to link all of FireMonkey's stuff in our Twitter post. So if you guys are looking for any of this stuff and you guys are following the Unvaulted podcast, I will direct all of his socials there. So if you want to find more about him, you'll be able to do that there. But yeah, it's kind of crazy to think like Fortnite has kind of created so many jobs for people to where they can actually financially take care of themselves enough to be able to do content creation full time. It's really cool. Now, my question for you, well, this is the segment that everybody starts sweating. And so this is called Hipfire. Hipfire is essentially where I barrage you with like a dozen questions and you have to answer them as quick as possible. Are you prepared for this?
Maybe. I might be prepared.
You can confirm I have not told you any of these questions.
Yeah. I haven't been told a single question at all.
Great. Okay. So we'll keep you on your toes. PM's going to hit us with the music, and then I'm going to start asking. You need to answer these questions as fast as humanly possible. You will make mistakes, and that will be funny, because think about it. From a content standpoint, people at home are going to love this. So just speak from the heart, and, should go great. Ready? 3, 2, 1. What is your name?
Ricky.
Give me a word that starts with Q.
Question.
How messy is leaking?
Very.
Is soup a cereal soup?
No.
What is your weirdest hobby?
Leaking.
If you could shut down any business or company, what would it be?
I don't know, Apple?
Very appropriate. Who is the best leaker?
All of them.
Wow. Who would be cool with? Who would you be cool with slapping your face?
You.
What's the hardest job in the world?
There's a lot of them.
What's your best feature?
My face.
What is something on your bucket list?
To buy my own house.
What do you imagine Donald Mustard's middle name is?
Ketchup.
What movie or TV show character would you kill off if you could?
Gideon from Gravity Falls.
What is your cell phone background screen?
My lock screen's an animated, like, a background of an anime hand, and then my phone wallpaper on the home screen is just like a drawn city.
Anime. Who is your ultimate nemesis?
Hypex.
What is something you regret purchasing?
A body pillow.
Oh my God. What movie should have a sequel?
I don't watch movies that often.
What is the best Fortnite skin in the game?
Kit Bash.
What is your guilty pleasure?
I don't know.
Your body pillow. Describe
No.
Describe me in 3 words.
Wears hats, makes... Yeah. Oops.
How do you feel this podcast is going so far?
Great.
What is something you refuse to share?
The body pillow.
What is your spirit animal?
Monkey.
What does it sound? What sound does it make? That was really impressive. Would you rather have 3 eyes or 3 arms?
3 arms.
And make up a catchphrase.
Table flip.
Let's go. Good job. Congratulations on surviving Hipfire. Table flip. Let's go. I love that. How do you feel? That was great. You did good. That was awesome.
That was great, especially the part where my 3 words for you was "Wears hats makes."
And Body Pillow made a few rounds. Well,
Yeah,
what is the picture of the body pillow, if you don't mind me asking?
there isn't one. It's
It's just a regular body pillow. Okay.
Yes.
Behind that. But I love pillows, man. There's nothing wrong with having more pillows. Okay, so during this interview, I really want people to know, before we get into leaking all that stuff, I want people to know a little bit more about you, man. Is there anything you can tell us about yourself that people might not already know, or maybe it's just like who you are as a person? Could you just kind of give us a rundown of who is Ricky?
So I'm basically, as everyone sees, I data mine video games. I make YouTube videos. I make Twitch streams sometimes. And I've just been big into just like looking into the files ever since a long time ago when someone messaged me. It was like, hey, here's this very old game I used to play. There was a secret code in it, but no one ever figured out the code. Could you figure it out? And I just said, sure, but I did not know anything about doing anything at the time. Managed to find it. And then later I got introduced to Fortnite, saw that there was actually a data mining scene in it. So I looked on YouTube, how to look in Fortnite files. And here I am now.
That's wild. That's so cool. So is that why Fortnite though? Like, there's a lot of games that people leak for. I'm sure you've gotten asked probably a million times to leak other games. Why Fortnite?
So Fortnite was like the main game at the time that I was like talking to friends with and just playing. And it was season 4, the update where they had just added the visitor to the game files. I didn't know leaking games like Fortnite existed until one of my friends was like, oh yeah, the secret skin's already revealed. Go to this link, which was a website that just like catalogs all the new stuff. And I was like, I play the game a lot. This seems interesting. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a Twitter account just to show my friends some stuff I found. It ended up in a YouTube video and there I was. It ended up being like a career because content creators started talking about the stuff I posted.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, I feel like your socials blew up like when you started. And it's crazy even now to see these leakers who get into the scene and there's a desire in the Fortnite community to know what the heck is going on week by week. And so it's so cool to see people like you tap into that and provide really epic and amazing content that is coming through the pipeline of Epic. And so my question to you is like, what do you do about the conversation of like, I get this a lot, like spoiler free, spoilers. Like literally your life is a spoiler. What do you say to people that are like, bro, you're like, quit spoiling this for me. I want to be excited about the content to come. Like, how do you gauge with like that type of conversation?
So there's obviously an ongoing battle over what is like what we should leak, what we shouldn't leak, as we've seen in the past by like people choosing not to leak live events or people not liking shop tabs being leaked. And no matter what, there's always going to be a battle over what is morally right to leak, what should we not leak. But it's like sometimes, like from my point of view, I get why some things shouldn't be leaked, like a live event, of course, because it's a live event, once in a lifetime thing. But like other things, like let's say there's a new LTM that was added to the files. If I or someone else doesn't post about it, someone else on Twitter or on the internet is going to post about it anyways.
Right. Interesting. So, where is your morality compass then in terms of leaking things, right? Like, where do you draw the line of like, I will not leak this, and how do you know that inside of yourself? Like, how have you come to that realization?
So when it comes to like, oh, hey, I will not leak this. Like, let's say someone I talked to managed to get information from an insider or something. If they're like, hey, I'm only sharing this with you, please don't share it online. And like, this doesn't really happen. It's just like a random example. I'm not going to go to Twitter and be like, here is the Chapter 2 Season 8 Battle Pass.
Right. Okay. So anything that could be illegally obtained.
Yeah.
Then you're kind of like, you know what? Maybe not there. But if Fortnite itself shove something through the pipeline, you're gonna dissect it.
Yeah, and sometimes like an event file or two may get like in the main files that isn't decrypted. If a lot of leakers if a few leakers notice it, there'll sometimes be like conversation over should we post about this? Should we just like keep silence on it? So there are communication with other leakers over is this something that we should talk about or not?
Right. So you guys are in a huge DM.
I'm not in it because I just personally don't do group DMs that often.
Mm-hmm.
But there are leaker group chats out there for stuff like this.
Okay, cool. So maybe the bigger ones are all kind of like just comparing notes on whether or not, like, hey, should we hold on this or not? That's interesting. That's very interesting. So tell me a little bit about how you transitioned from leaking content to also content creation. It sounds like you originally really wanted to do that, and leaking kind of gave you a platform in which you could. How did that transition happen, and what is the type of content that you want to create?
Yeah, so when it comes to creating content, I've always created content. Back when I had a super squeaky voice, when I didn't even know what an editing software was. I was using like Camtasia to edit, Bandicam to record, had watermarks on it. And I always wanted to make content. I had tried tons of different things. But then when I found Fortnite leaking, I was like, oh, hey, I can actually grow a following here since it started growing, and I didn't intend for it at all. But once it started growing to a certain point, I was like, I always wanted to do content creation. And one day, let's say I don't want to play Fortnite anymore. It's like they make leaking impossible or something. I don't want to be there where I'm like, well, I'm out of a job and I withdrew from college to do this full time. So what do I do now? So I've been like working on trying to brand myself around my personality and not just Fortnite leaks, which is why I started to do YouTube content on Fortnite news, obviously, but then I started to reopen a second channel, which was more like commentary based or like based around just like rants or something going on that was trending on Twitter last night.
That's great. And so, like I said before, we're going to post all this content we're going to tweet about it. So if you're looking for direct links, we'll have those for you. Tell us a little bit about that second channel. I know that was something that you wanted to talk about. What can people expect from you in that regard?
Yeah, so my second channel was originally where I had started uploading content to. I had tried tons of different things, like a Minecraft Let's Play, which a lot of those videos are privated now just because they're super old. But nowadays, I feel I'll use it for like maybe some one-off stuff. So it's like if I wanted to talk about like, oh, Dreams being canceled on Twitter this week, let's talk about just like summarize the situation or something. Or if I want to talk about, oh, Xbox is releasing Xbox mini fridges, just kind of like commentary based in general, just to talk about whatever it is I want to talk about.
So I see you're a man of culture, really.
Yes.
And so now that you mentioned like, I'm not going to college for this, which, is heavily debatable right now in terms of like where college and schools are. You could probably get college on YouTube these days. But what are you looking to accomplish in your future? Like, what can we expect from Ricky in the future? Whether or not Fortnite is in the equation, what are the things that you would love to accomplish?
I definitely like each year what I'm starting to do is because like I used to be like, oh, here's my goals for the end of the year. I want to hit this amount of followers on Twitter or whatever. I've started to like not tweet about my goals for that stuff. Instead, keep it like more personal, make it like a back of the mind type of thing where it's like I also don't have a million people having eyes on, oh, he wanted to hit this and he failed by 100,000 or something.
Yeah.
But continue.
So you're saying screw you guys, I'm not going to tell you.
Well, kind of, yeah, but also there's like multiple secret projects as well that I try working on behind the scenes to like eventually announce, be like, hey, there's this thing.
Okay, I love it. You're a man of mystery. That's going to keep people coming back for more. It's like, yeah, I've got some secrets. That's great. So before we get started on diving into the drama that is leaking, what's your code in Fortnite if people want to support you?
If you want to support me, my code is simply FireMonkey. Some people will put the I from my Twitter username in there. It's the I before FireMonkey isn't included. It's just FireMonkey.
FireMonkey. And that's not monkey, the meme monkey, MONKE,
The
right?
Y is included.
You need the Y in there for that to work. You need the tail of the monkey.
Yep.
And then how can people find you if people are looking for you? Like what socials would you recommend people checking out for you?
My main platforms to find out whatever's going on is Twitter. My Fortnite Twitter is iFireMonkey, and then my personal Twitter's I'm FireMonkey.
Okay, great. And then last question, is there anything in particular that, or any person in particular that you would like to utilize this platform to shout out before we get into the rest of the podcast?
Yeah, so someone who's been helping me with like update nights and stuff recently when it came to Fortnite is a buddy of mine, G Matrix Games, over on Twitter. He has like whenever there's an update recently, sometimes I'll stay up all night and just be in a voice chat with him waiting for it, talking about, oh hey, what do you plan to look for in the update?
That's cool. That's cool. So he's like your companion at 4 a.m.
Yeah, it used to be Prism, also known as Silox in the past, but ever since he quit Fortnite leaking, I went nomad for a while, and now we have G Matrix Games.
There you go. Awesome. So be sure to check him out as well. Okay, and so we're gonna get into like the meat of this conversation. But before we do, I'm going to go ahead and get a word from our sponsors. So we're gonna roll a cue here. PM, roll it.
You don't have a sponsor.
What do you mean I don't have a sponsor?
You don't have a sponsor.
Is that my job to get a sponsor or your job?
Someone's job. Might be mine.
Okay, well, since we don't have a sponsor, for now, I guess it's just water. Drink water. Hydrate or dihydrate. We're going to talk after this, PM. Okay, we're going to talk. We're going to have a conversation. If you guys know anybody that's looking, sponsor some content, just let me know. I think, don't you have a sponsor, FireMonkey?
Yes, I do.
Oh, great. Well, let's just run your sponsor, since we don't have any.
All right. You can use code FIRE on gfuel.com to save 10% off your purchase. Sometimes it's 30%.
Wow, great. That worked out really well. Good thing we didn't have one. Okay, so Fortnite leaking 101. Let's dive into it. We have to assume out there, FireMonkey, that there are people that don't know what leaking is. And in fact, why the heck we're using the terminology leaking and leakers. Could you explain to us a little bit of what leakers do, what they are, and how it's become a vital part of Fortnite?
Yeah, so even before Fortnite, leaking existed pretty much. And another term that is kind of like used in like article making industries, like if you make an article for Dexerto, is whistleblower. Basically someone who has this information that isn't like out yet and shares it publicly. And that's the reality what leaking is.
Okay, so let's walk it through, right? Fortnite, as you guys know, has been in beta for a very long time. And why this is an important concept is because if you were to update your game in PlayStation or Xbox or these various other places, if a game was an actual game, the process of getting an update out takes a lot longer. And when you're in beta, you're able to shortcut a few things and post things quicker. So Fortnite kind of was able to revolutionize the output of content in a weekly manner by quote unquote staying in beta. When this has been happening, we have seen the seasons like drastically change week by week. Typically every 2 weeks, I think, is the ritual that we've been in for a while. The game client updates, which you guys are all probably, that's that moment where you're like, I want to play Fortnite, and then you put on your PlayStation 4 and you got to wait 2 years to update your game. That moment is where new files enter into the game, and it allows people to look at those files. And so what FireMonkey and his little dirty hands get on is they look through all those files, and then they try to populate content that they see in there before that content releases day by day through the next 2 weeks. So, with that being said, FireMonkey, how do you do that? Is this black magic? Like, how do you actually find those files? Because from a personal standpoint, I'm trying to figure out where the heck Easter eggs are and where gnomes are going to be located and why XP coins can't just make sense. How do you actually find those files? What does that look like?
So it's super easy. You just gotta sneak into Donald Mustard's house, go on his computer. No, that's not how you do it. So there's multiple public programs out there like UModel or FModel, and UModel is more for any game made in Unreal Engine, while FModel was made specifically for leaking Fortnite. And what they do is they allow you to actually open up the files as if, let's say, the Fortnite game was just a folder on your computer that didn't have any like encryptions or anything on it. And then you could just click through, be like, oh, this is where I put that, or if this isn't where it belongs, and just click on it, find the information about it, like if it was a text document. And yeah.
My question to you is, do you feel like a treasure hunter when you're doing this? Like, do you feel like you are like stumbling upon gold when you find you find out, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is the freaking foundation? Like, what is it like to discover something, especially something that maybe others haven't discovered?
It's definitely interesting, and I know there'll be times where I'm looking in the files, I've already leaked, like, oh, hey, here's the new cosmetics, new back blings, whatever it may be, and then I'll just be going through everything just to see if I can find just something to tweet about, because why not? I have extra time. And then I'll find something, and I'll be like, oh, I did not expect to see this, huh? Let me investigate this more. It's just like a realization that, oh, this is actually very interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. I feel like if I was a leaker, I'd be so proud of myself. I'd pat myself on the back like, I just found that before anybody else did. Like, I still feel that way a little bit when they release teasers. I think that's the closest I am with the leakers, is when I discover something in a teaser on the map or something, like, oh my gosh, I get a retweet from some of the big guys. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. But yeah, it's really fun. It's like there's a lot of energy, at 4 a.m. There's a lot of people competing for or trying to be the first person, right? Because I feel like the first person gets a little bit more clout than the rest. What is it like to be shoulder to shoulder with probably 100 different leakers all trying to be the first person to find something?
Yeah, so it's interesting because, obviously when I first started leaking, it wasn't really, there wasn't a million leakers all trying to find the thing first and post about it first. But nowadays, it's, there is definitely competition to try being the first person to post about interesting changes in the files, or even on their social media accounts. Like, Hypex recently mentioned that Fortnite recently followed Bruno Mars on Instagram. And even though there is this competition of, oh, hey, I must be first to post this, so the more people credit me or whatever it may be, it's also at the same time, I still communicate with Hypex and Sheena while I compete against them to be like, hey, so I found this information about your tweet. We should talk about it to find out more info, just totally over what this is.
Yeah, that's cool. So it's like this friendly competition.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Adrian _L013 on Twitter was curious of how leaking has changed over the years that you guys have been doing it. So my guess is, as Epic has blown up as a business, it's probably gotten harder and harder to actually decrypt things. And it seems like there is a playful nature with Epic Games of how they withhold or hide things from leakers. Could you tell us a little bit of how that evolution has kind of happened?
So yeah, when I first started leaking, I didn't even go by FireMonkey. I went by pseudonym, which was just a name that I was like, oh, this sounds cool. But back then,
well, let me stop you right there. I don't know. I don't know if that sounds cool. Pseudonym? What is that from?
Well, it's whenever you make a username, that's technically your pseudonym. And I took how it sounded.
That's kind of cool. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Right. Square up.
Okay, continue.
All right, but when I first started leaking, F model didn't exist. Like, the way we got the information regarding, oh, hey, this is the rarity of a skin, was we grabbed the image of the new skin and we posted that, but we also had to have like these broken programs half the time. That half the time they would just break trying to do something that sometimes told you, oh, this is a rare skin. This is the description and name of it. But other times just wouldn't work at all. And then as time went on, leaking changed drastically by F model existing, because that allowed us to like click on a skin and then boom, the rarity, the name, description, item shop being the source was all right there as a single image automatically generated.
Wow.
And once that happened, this was like still before Epic Games encrypted anything. Like nowadays, it'll be like, oh, there's 4 encrypted files this update. And on the encrypted side of things, they do it to sometimes, like hide a skin, hide a collaboration, like maybe a TikTok emote or just a popular dance or something in general. But there's also still a battle happening where it's like, oh, this leaker found out how to find what was in this encrypted file this way. Epic's trying to patch it, and then they accidentally maybe like we uncover another way that they forgot about.
That's crazy. So it seems like there's just like this like exploratory nature of being a leaker, and innovation seems to be a crucial element to being able to stumble across something you might not expect.
Yeah.
So and I feel like, okay, so F model, H model, you talked about those two things. How are people able to show in-game cosmetics or in-game pictures before the game even goes live?
So there's been a few different ways it's happened. It originally started with a method that I had leaked because me and Prism, my old buddy who I used to do leaks with, we would actually like find these methods that people are like trying to hold hostage, like, oh, you can't know how we did this, and me and him would be the ones to actually leak it to advanced leaking. And the original method was something called using programs like HXD or 010 editor to change meshes. So it's like, let's say, oh, you have the Party Royale, like Neon Wings back bling. Changing that to, I don't know, the Aura's back bling. And then over time, Epic patched stuff like that by using things like compressing files. And we got something called private servers, which basically a private server is just the game running through your computer. You're not connecting to an actual server at all. But now there's a battle between Epic has patched this about private servers. Now we have to spend time waiting for private servers to be fixed again. Oh, next update, they broke them again. Now we got to try fixing them once again. And that's just like the battle for unreleased cosmetics at this point, where Epic's continuously patching private servers from existing, and people who make private servers are unpatching it.
Wow, that's wild. So who are the people that created like some of these programs that do this stuff?
So F model was created by a guy named Asval, and his program was one of like the open source ones where anyone can go to a website called GitHub, which you can show your code, and anyone can contribute to it. So like F model has tons of people who's helped out with it, such as Tiger Hyper, G Matrix Games, Not Officer, Fabian, tons of people.
Yeah, those are some big names. That's cool. So a few people started getting into leaking, and then I feel like there's also some people that are kind of getting into leaking just to clout farm. What does it look like, to have somebody, and what if you guys don't know what clout farming is? It's essentially like, I'm going to utilize somebody else's maybe like blowing up and try to get a little bit of that, try to get in on it, or like try to even compete with it. In order to do that, sometimes what people will do is just simply replicate the exact process of another individual. A huge reason why me going to an application is to kind of put some competition between others who are also putting together cheat sheets, and just literally copying all of my pin locations and posting it on, their whatever website or whatever. And so by me moving to an app, it kind of puts a blocker of competition, essentially. Like they're going to have an app if they want to be more relevant or continue to do this. So in leaking, there's less of that because I could simply go online, call myself a leaker, retweet whatever, or copy the exact picture or the exact text and paste it as if I found it and receive praise that I don't technically deserve. So that is what we will call clout farming for the situation. What are your thoughts on clout farmers? What are your thoughts on people that are like quote unquote leakers that don't even have any of these like programs to actually help people? What are your thoughts?
So when it comes to people who just like, let's say, go to type in twitter.com/iFireMonkey or like /Hypex or whatever, it's like, usually they'll just like repost what someone's already posted. And since one of the bigger leakers have already posted it, such as Hypex or me, they don't really get that much attention towards it. But the one thing that always seems to happen recently, especially since we've started having like insiders, are accounts that appear like towards the end of a season are like, hey, I have all this information about next season. There's going to be a llama BMO from Adventure Time skin or something. It's like whenever those accounts appear, they seem to get tons of traction out of nowhere without anyone like fact checking it. And that's like the only accounts that I really like get annoyed at because people keep believing it, even though it's like fake information.
So they essentially push a narrative that isn't real.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to deal with all of the questions on your socials of like, when is Ariana Grande going to leak? Or you guys have to deal with those.
Yeah, but like what some of them have been doing recently is they'll take like confirmed information, like let's say like vehicles having upgrades coming soon, right? They'll take confirmed information and then mix in false information inside of it. So it's like, oh, hey, this was already confirmed, therefore my point's valid.
And is that also to kind of like set themselves apart from others that are like, okay, everybody knows vehicle mods are coming, but you're the first person to say that vehicle mods also have like 4 freaking bazookas on this inside of the exhaust? Like, is that the idea to kind of like build an audience? It's like, whoa, this guy found this thing. And even though it's not true, by the time it comes out, they won't remember that.
Well, I don't really do that often. The only thing that I could say was like, that was the Ariana Grande thing, which was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, that was really good. And he was dying on that hill, bro. He was just like he died on that hill. That was amazing. And then there's another piece to leaking that I think is worth mentioning. Is like, because of all of these clout farmers, there's a little bit of attention, I would say, amongst leakers. There's like this, sometimes we get some leaker drama. What is your perspective on those moments? How do you find yourself engaging with that type of stuff when it's on your front doorstep? I'm kind of curious of what you would say about leaker drama.
Yeah, so definitely when I first started leaking, like my first few years of leaking, I managed to get myself in quite a bit of drama just all the time because I don't know, I was not prepared for people to follow me and I didn't like know how to handle it. But like as time's gone on, there still is occasionally like drama that sparks up. Like someone recently posted a fake screenshot where I said something and I thought I had said it, but come to find out it wasn't even a real image. And so sometimes fake drama confuses even me to thinking it's real. But I've tried recently to like, I'll still get in drama sometimes, but I've tried to just kind of like either ignore it or try talking about it with the person outside of live Twitter tweets, because
right,
drama is going to happen no matter what, and no matter what community you're in, there's quite a bit of it. So it's like I'd personally just try to either ignore it or address it to them privately.
That's really great. I think that's a very like respectful way, and probably a learning that you have had over like having socials. And this is even true for my content. I feel like there are people that just really love receiving like all of the praise without any of the work, and by calling them out, you know, behind your massive following, that can really bring some harm to somebody, right? Because you might not be the person saying like, I'm gonna destroy you, but one of your followers who might be a little like younger or like more tempered might say some things to that person that could really bring harm to them. And I think that's a really cool and respectful way to deal with that type of stuff, because there's just some people that have a hard time knowing what to do with a following. Like, I don't think me or you or any of these guys expected this to happen to us. It just did. And so what you do with it, I feel like it's really, really crucial. What would you say to somebody who stumbles across a following? Like, what advice would you give that person?
If you stumble across a following, just don't tweet out every 3 seconds being like, I'm making a sandwich, I'm now sticking my toe in the toilet to get it wet or something. You don't need to tweet out your whole life, and that's something I'm still learning, is that my whole life doesn't need to be on Twitter.
Totally. That's really well said. So where do most of the Twitter drama like moments happen? Where's the pinnacle of that type of like stuff happening? Like, what would you attribute to like, this is the reason why a lot of beef happens online? Like, what are your thoughts?
I don't really know. I know sometimes it'll be like, oh hey, we all agreed on not posting like event leaks or something, and then this person posted something that people could say is, oh hey, it's an event leak. That sometimes will start drama. And like even today, Sheena posted out about a survey going out, and I had said, isn't this the same one from like a few months ago? People were replying to that being like, ooh, he's starting beef or whatever. So I had to contact Sheena privately being like, hey, I hope you know I'm not trying to start drama.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's so interesting how your following speaks for you a little bit. Like they can go off on people. You're like, whoa, bro. Like, hey, no, like this is so sarcastic or whatever. Like, that's very, very interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's like sometimes, some people who follow or reply to a content creator may try trying to put words in that content creator's mouth because whatever they may want to see happen. And sometimes that can cause consequences that the creator wasn't even actually like intending originally.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so Twitter is, I think, probably the quickest form of being able to access information. There's many other platforms out there of people that create content, including Reddit. We've seen some. If you guys don't follow the Fortnite BR Reddit, I'd highly recommend it. It's the stuff dies there and stuff like gets totally praised there appropriately. And also there's a bunch of horrible posts too, which are really funny to look through. But anyways, like what I've seen a lot is somebody post something on Reddit that was either from Twitter or somebody post on Twitter that was from Reddit, and crediting those people. There's a hardship with that, because like if some kid, that finds a mushroom that comes alive and heals you when you give it wood, shows up and they record it, and then people take it and then also like, hey, I just found this. Like, how do you what's your perspective on like credit etiquette, if you will, if we coin that term? Like, how do you go about like going through like, hey, this person found this, I'm reporting on it because I'm a reporter on this at this point in time. How would you recommend to other people who want to be leakers or news places for Fortnite? How would you recommend them crediting? What does that look like for you? Have you struggled with that?
So I definitely have struggled with like trying to find the proper way to credit stuff in the past, because there'll be times when someone will like be like, hey, in my DMs, be like, hey, I found this thing changed or whatever, you should talk about it. And then I'll find more information and talk about it, but I don't credit the person in DMs who said it. But recently I've just been like, oh, hey, thanks to this person for being the reason I found out that this existed. Like, I'll try to be like, oh, hey, I wasn't the one who originally found this, but I added on to it, and this is the person who, like, I found it from. And it's still like sometimes I'll make a mistake or not credit the right person. Sometimes, it's always like a battle.
It's so funny when people credit me, but just put Squatting Dog and not the Squatting Dog on Twitter. And this random dude, it's like redneck in the middle of who knows where, is just like, dude, definitely doesn't play Fortnite and hasn't checked his account for years. And like, it happens even with companies, with everything. It's like, it's interesting. Like, to be able to do that well is a skill in itself, I would say. And I feel like a lot of times it's way easier just not to. Do you find yourself on one or the other in terms of that spectrum? Would you rather not, or would you rather try to do like as much research as you can to make sure people are credited correctly?
So in the past, whenever like I've finished leaking for an update, I'll like post it out on Twitter being like, hey, how'd I do this update? And I'll sometimes DM content creators being like, hey, is there anything you would like me to change on how I report on leaks? And one thing that I always try to do is if I talk about like a change coming to the game, like recently I talked about Sparkplug, NPC number 17, being confirmed to be re-added in V16.20. I try to also mention all the information I can about it, such as here's the dialogue they can say, here's when this dialogue triggers, just like extra info so that they can understand more than just, oh, here's the base thing and that's it.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Yeah, I like that. So there's some recent drama that's worth talking about, I think. We've had multiple leakers get their accounts suspended lately. Can you tell me what do you know about this? And I think it's created a terror amongst a lot of content creators out there to where now they have like 2 accounts. And I think you are somebody who has 2 Twitter accounts. What are your thoughts? What's happening? And should we all be terrified and create 2 accounts?
Should everyone be terrified and create 2 accounts? No, but Twitter does have a broken report system. So for example, I was one of the leakers they had actually targeted when it came to this whole like suspension thing recently. And instead of them like managing to suspend my account, they managed to lock it, and I had to delete 3 tweets, which actually gave me more information than if they had just suspended it. And what they're doing is they're reporting tweets and for counterfeit goods and saying that they work for that organization. So like I had a tweet talking about No Man's Sky Twitch drops existing and being available, removed for quote unquote counterfeit goods. A tweet about me having a replay from 2015 in Rocket League removed. And it's just like Twitter's report system needs some work or needs some more people to actually verify these are accurate companies, like maybe a company ID or something.
Yeah, that sounds very helpful. Imagine just all of a sudden, like, let's use HypeX as an example here. He's got, 1 million plus followers. And some people report him and he loses that account for fraud, essentially. Like, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. So what have people been doing, like, to be able to get their accounts back? Like, do you know any? I know you're friends with a bunch of people that have had this happen to them.
So when it comes to like whenever this has happened, both times that I've seen it happen, because this happened back in 2019. People such as like Slasher or Keemstar, people who have connections with those at Twitter, will be like, hey, this is happening, you guys need to look into it, try reverting the suspensions. And for example, one of the guys I talked to, who is like one of those people who has connections just everywhere, I let him know that I let him know, I was like, hey, this is going around, here's some images you could send to your Twitter guy to let him know to look into it. So it's just like trying to get people who have connections at Twitter to actually investigate the situation.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. Cool. Well, I think that's helpful, because I think there's like this crazy fear going on, at least on Twitter. Like, I should have 2 accounts, and if something goes wrong, here's my other account, and yada yada yada. Like, it's very, very interesting. So my last question, kind of like around all of this, is: do you feel like you have to be on call all the time? Because I feel like Fortnite, and this is one of my frustrations, is like, they'll just straight up drop some big news in the middle of nowhere from a random account, and it's like worth telling the world about. Like, does that put a weird, like, how do you even quote unquote work when Fortnite does not sleep, does not eat, and just like completely tweets?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I know, like, there's been times recently where I'll be laying in bed, I'm like, there's just not really much information going on. I can kind of just, like, stay in bed, scroll on my phone, and then I'll get a notification, Fortnite new blog post has been released, and I'll just, like, jump out of bed, turn on my computer as fast as possible, just to make sure I can get the information out there, when I thought I was just, fine vibing, and, like, during this podcast, the Bruno Mars emote just got leaked, so I have TweetDeck open, making sure I can get the information out there while also still doing this.
So you actually have a tail. Then you have multiple hands in which you can do all of this stuff.
Yes, I do.
Wow, that's so impressive. Like I think that's what I struggle with a lot of times. I'm like, dude, I get to sleep today, and then I go to bed, and then I wake up, and I'm like, Tuesday morning, they decided to release challenges. And you're like, hello, Fortnite. Hello. Like, when can I schedule around you at all, please? The answer is no for a lot of us. Like, we kind of have to have a pulse on what's going on, because if we don't, there's always somebody else who is, right?
Yeah. Just we need Epic to just specifically give me and you, a calendar that just says when everything's going to come out so we can just sleep in.
I know, that'd be amazing. Just planning a sleep schedule sounds glorious to me at this point in time. That's hilarious. Okay, so let's dive into season 6 is upon us, and a lot of people are excited. A lot of people who listen to this podcast love lore topics. They love being able to understand literally what's going on in Fortnite. And so the past 2 episodes, we kind of touched a little bit on the lore of Fortnite. But I feel like it's really cool to have a leaker on here, because you guys actually see code a lot of time. Like, you're able to kind of, where we wait for an audio cue in the game, you guys are able to like look at code and go, this is what it'll say. Or, the Spanish version is like it says it as a female. Like, it's really specific in what you guys are able to pick up on. What are some things that you have on your radar about season 6 that maybe those of us that don't have access to leaking you'd be interested to share?
There's definitely a lot of like things, especially when it comes to like leaking for the game. Like, it's interesting. Like, for example, the live event this season, the Zero Crisis finale, it's codenamed Yogurt.
What? It's codenamed Yogurt?
Yeah, the codename for this season's live event is Yogurt. But yeah, it's interesting. And I know like the storyline stuff, there will be things in the files that make me think one way, and then it actually happens, and I'm like, oh, well, I was the files made me right about this thing, but 50 other theories I thought are incorrect now, because it actually happened live.
Yeah, that was a new move this time, which I think like that was probably a smart move in the sense of people all get to play it. You can play it as a playlist. Like, probably a smart move. I do miss being able to try to get in one and be a part of a squad and like have fun in that way. But the live event was really interesting, brought a lot of stuff. Did you guys did not have access to anything in the live event at all, right? Was that all hidden from you guys, or were you guys able to actually see that when that update went live for season 6?
When the season 6 update went live, because it was like an event that you would load into right away when you launched the game, we could have like went out and been like, here's all this dialogue, here's all the info about it. But that, for example, is one of the things we decided ahead of time. Oh, hey, we're just going to let people experience this. We're not going to be like, oh, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's in it.
That's awesome. So you guys are currently the good guys. I feel like this could turn into a villain story real quick. Here. Yeah. At what point in time are you going to turn, and who do you think is going to be the leaker to turn you all?
Sheena.
Sheena. I knew it. There's something about him. Like when my Fortnite locker came out, I did the trolling thing. Sheena did not like that. Was not a fan. I essentially put 3 days as my post because you guys had leaked that I had a locker bundle, and which is kind of a bummer. I wish you guys would have all agreed not to do that, but I didn't. Wasn't in the group chat apparently, and I essentially everyone was knew about it, and from Epic standpoint, they're like, we don't want you to talk about it till it's out. So it's like I'm in this weird middle ground now, right? Like where it's like it's leaked. People are talking about it. From Epic standpoint, wait till it's live. And I'm like just sitting here in the middle, like, what do I do? You know? So then I thought to myself, well, let's have some fun. So I tweeted like 3 days, like a little prompt. And I think I knew people were going to chomp on it, but I didn't know how quickly people were going to chomp on it. So I don't know what your experience of this was, but Sheena and a bunch of people started retweeting as if it was true. And my joke was going to be 3 days until the new WandaVision episode releases because I love WandaVision. That was going to be my whole thing. But I totally made some of these people who are like these, like sought after leakers kind of lie, like in some way. And Sheena reply was so great. He was like, I hate it here, is what he said.
Yeah.
I love that. What was your
WandaVision is great, by the way. You were correct about that.
Yeah, it was in 3 days. I leaked it, essentially. So.
Yeah. But I know I didn't know you were tweeting out like 3 days or anything until after I decide I'm gonna click on Twitter and I just see like 3 accounts being like Squatingdog's bundle will be out in 3 days. So I click on your profile and then that's right when you were just like tweeting the WandaVision part and I'm like, I'm glad I wasn't here.
I know, and I was gonna wait longer, but then there was so many of those things happening. I'm like, I just don't want to be the guy that everybody hates constantly. I love trolling people, but I have to have some sort of morality in all of this. This is so funny. Okay, so you had mentioned that this upcoming event is called Yogurt. So,
well, no, the event that already happened, the one at the start of the season.
Okay, are there what's up with code names? Like, why do they use code names? Give us a little bit of insight on that.
I assume they use code names so that, like, because they know there's a leaking community. Because, like, in the past, when, for example, there was the season teasers where there was all the different phone numbers from just all around the world. In the past, it was interesting because, like, they added all of the phone numbers and the like place that phone number is from to the game files through a hotfix, like at the very last day. So it's like if they didn't find all the numbers, leakers could post them. And I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It was just very fascinating. Keep going.
Yeah. But they most likely codename stuff like events so that leakers don't just go in the files and see this is a live event. Please do not look inside of here, and instead have to actually pick and just like piece together that this is a live event and not just like a new skins foots animation.
Wow, that's wild. So is everything like that, or is it just specific things like big events and skins they don't want you guys to know about?
Most things are like that. Now, there are things such as like playlist or whatever, which sometimes won't have like code names, but like Party Royale, the code name's Papaya. And then like some of the skins, for example, will have interesting code names just to try making it so it's like, oh, hey, this is what we originally called it. Even if sometimes they don't have the right features, like there was a skin that had the code name Ponytail, but didn't actually have a ponytail at all.
Weird. Okay, so is this a game they're playing? What is Epic's like? What is their strategy? Like, what you guys are doing isn't illegal technically, but like I feel like they wouldn't put code names in these files if it weren't for leakers. So what's the strategy if you're working at Epic Games, right? Like if you put yourself in Epic Games' shoes. What are you trying to accomplish by how these updates have been going live, how things are being encoded? Like, what are you trying to accomplish?
I think the reason why they do code names is because, like, sometimes things will slip through the cracks because they're referenced in, like, another file. So, for example, car upgrades being worked on, those were leaked last season, and now we're starting to see those in, like, trailers and stuff this season. I feel the reason they use code names is for, like, let's say a skin links to a texture that's in a unreleased skin that's encrypted or something. You won't be able to tell that that's something that you should look into if it's just like for example, the Peter Griffin stuff.
Yeah.
Being named Small Fry. Like, no one would link Small Fry to Peter Griffin just naturally.
So eventually you guys will be smart enough to realize it's just the opposites, and then it'll be a huge mind game.
Yes.
That's crazy. So Epic is doing all of this to buy, is it to buy time? This is what I always assumed was like they're buying as much time as humanly possible for leaks not to go out.
Yeah, I feel it's like somewhat of like buying time, somewhat to just kind of like mess with leakers, and then somewhat because like an Epic employee got bored or something.
Interesting. Because so this last update, season 6, if you were on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and so, like all of those updated, which you guys can't necessarily get files very quickly or easily or manageably from. You guys typically get them from the PC variant, but the PC variant didn't update till like way late, like an hour after all of those. Like, was that a move by Epic Games to like halt some leaks, or what are your thoughts?
So yeah, that definitely was a move by Epic Games to halt some leaks. There's someone at Epic that I talked to. I obviously don't get inside info from him because he likes his job.
Yeah.
But I told him update now. I was like, hey, release the update on PC, and he replied, leak or no leaking. So they definitely do stuff like delaying the platforms they know it can get leaked on until later, so that it doesn't get leaked right away.
That's crazy. That's really smart, and also surprisingly playful, despite like how scary and intense the lawyers are that work at Epic Games. So I'm glad that there is this type of relationship and rapport. Do you ever feel like it's going to change? Because I mean, there are things that can't be shown off, right? So we just had if you're listening to this podcast, I think it's in the item shop right now, is the Crystal Hands. Is that his name? Diamond Hands.
Yeah.
Which is the Stonks guy. And that guy, you guys, in all the leaks I saw, I didn't see anybody post on it. Why can't you access that? What does that look like for skins like that?
The reason why we can't access that is because how the game works is there's like the main files which get decrypted right when you launch the game, so that you can actually play the game, you can experience it. And since those get decrypted right away, we can view those. However, with things such as the Stonks man, they add the decryption key to a calendar. And because like whenever there's a new challenge out, right, that goes through their calendar. So it's like week 3 starts here, ends here type of thing. And until that decryption key is added to a calendar, we can't get it because it's not in the files. It's not like right there in front of us when you launch the game or anything.
Interesting. Okay, so and that's why you guys can leak what's in the item shop like a few hours before the item shop itself, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that's interesting. So do you see, like, from you've been doing this for a while, do you see it changing, or is it going to be like this for the rest of Fortnite's existence?
I feel that like Epic knows things get leaked. They've done surveys before being like, what hypes you up for a new cosmetic? And one of the options will be it got leaked or like posted already or somewhere else. So I feel they will encrypt some things for all of eternity. Like they'll encrypt upcoming skins that may be a collab, a meme skin, whatever it may be. But the main things like upcoming challenges or whatever, I don't really see them encrypting anytime soon, just because they don't really see a reason to do it, because they haven't seen it like ruin, like a challenge isn't going to really tell you, oh hey, Bruno Mars has an emote coming to the game.
Right. Yeah, there's no negative repercussion really to like, because hype is hype. I mean, I've been a part of your streams when you stream this live, and people show up, bro. Like they come out of the woodwork because they want to see this stuff right as it's happening. And there is like a huge amount of energy with this stuff, and I love that. Like it's really palpable. You know, you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, you're looking through all of your guys's like massive spreadsheets of all of the new skins and item shop, and you're like, come on, please, turns, get there, and then turns is there, and you're like, yeah, you know, like you're so excited. And so it's really fun being a part of like being really close with you guys in some of this, especially because I have my own needs with the app, and you guys usually provide really incredible content that I'm able to utilize and manifest into physical form with the app. So that's been really great. But there's energy. There's a lot of energy behind this stuff, and it's almost like there's like it's a race of energy too. Like it's like who finds what, and like, oh my gosh, they actually looked a little bit deeper in that, and there's more. And then we just like, especially me, I love the lore of Fortnite. So anything that I can find that's lore related, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like let's double down on this. Let's like figure out what's happening here. And so what are the things that you have seen about the lore manifest in season 6? Do we have anything? Have we talked about everything, or are there things that you're like, no one's really talking about like this, or what's happening here that is worth mentioning on the podcast?
There's definitely like lore things that only leakers will talk about, and even sometimes leakers won't talk about it. Like, as we've seen, NPCs are a new thing since last season, and they have like sometimes certain dialogue when you talk to them. Like, for example, Sparkplug has a string that was added in V16.00 that says needed a tune-up, fresh paint job, what, and that only plays for the first time you talk to them. But no one really talked about it until I looked more into it, since they were adding it next update. And like, for example, Webster, the NPC that doesn't actually show up in the collection, he has a full description on him that explains some lore about him, but you never see that because they don't use that NPC tag at all. Interesting.
So what is that lore?
So Webster was a recent graduate of Kitbash's Home for Mechanical Atrocytes, and this robotic duck isn't going to waste 1 second of his newfound freedom. And that's like the description for him, that you technically can't see it in game.
Interesting. It's Kitbash's what? Like,
he was a quote unquote graduate from Kitbash's Home for Mechanical Atrocytes, or Atrocities.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna need
Atrocities. Oh my god, I just really. Oh man, I'm great with words.
Hey, same. Oh man, that's great. Oh, cool. Okay, so Kitbash was a graduate, and then he created this duck. Is that what you're saying?
No, so it's Kit. So Webster was the graduate from Kitbash's home.
Oh,
but
okay.
They put graduate in quotes, and it mentions at the end that this robotic duck isn't going to waste 1 second of his newfound freedom, which kind of makes me think that Kitbash is creating these robots, and they don't want to be there.
Interesting.
Because like one of Webster's lines is, "You're not one of Kitbash's people, right?"
Oh, that's cool. So, oh wow, there's a lot here. I like this. Do we think this new duck is going to be an NPC for the rest of this season? Kind of like what they did with Snowmando, where like he showed up randomly and then stayed on the map. Do you think we're going to have a similar situation with this duck?
I feel, since that they have like a description and stuff, and since it is technically just for a live event, or well, a mini event, the spring event, I feel they will just keep it around, because it's like, why not? We have it fully fledged. We'll just add it next update as an NPC on the little collection.
Right. And then my another question I have for you is, we know there's going to be vehicle mods. We know there's like, even based off of the trailer, we've seen the what's the gun that takes junk?
The recycler.
The recycler. That's a great name. There's a recycler coming. You guys have recently leaked the image files of them being in the game. And then we know that like there's a bow and arrow where if you shoot it, it's like a grappler. It takes you up to a high spot. then we saw vehicle mods. We saw like massive wheels, stuff like that. What are some things that people from the podcast that are listening would be really excited to know about that is coming to Fortnite that you can just kind of confirm?
So I feel the one thing that I could definitely confirm right away is the fact that obviously they're working on more bows, and the one that seems to be the most finished right now is the unstable bow, which will be sold by Rebirth Raven. Now, obviously we don't know that much about it. It's just that it's unstable, quote unquote, but it does have this like glitch effect to it. So some people think that it may talk about like the loop, and like it may play on the whole loop aspect a little bit. Because this is kind of like off topic a little bit though. So you know those NPCs that are aggro like right away?
Mm-hmm.
When you eliminate them and they respawn as a hologram, that's actually called in the files them respawning out of the loop.
Interesting. That's so funny. And aggro, for those that don't know what that means, it's essentially like when you go up to an NPC and they just start fighting you. So it's like you're like, oh, I want to go buy, a pump from you, and then they just start shooting you immediately.
That's the pump.
Yeah, that's aggro right there. So what you're saying is those people, when you eliminate them, they are NPCs that you can then engage with in story element and whatnot, but they're like all glitched out. They are beyond the loop? Is that what you said?
They're outside of the loop according to the game, which I still don't really understand how that plays into the story. Because they've shown like these NPCs respawning out of the loop, but technically everyone's still in the loop.
Right. And we have seen this effect first with Bunker Jonesy, right? Like he's got the most lore that we've seen in Fortnite for a while, where he has that glitch effect and he was the worst version of it. And now there's multiple NPCs on the map that when you eliminate them, that happens. Some people are speculating that like they are all of the different versions of themselves in one area. So we're just seeing like almost an overlap of all the different variants of what that character could be or do right at one place at one point. Which it's interesting that you're saying that those characters are now outside of the loop, because like what you said, like the loop there, if you're playing the game, you're in the loop. So how would that make sense?
Yeah, especially like even with the Batman comics coming out, it mentions in one of the descriptions that there's some of the characters on the island who aren't affected by the 0 point, aren't affected by the loop resetting. And it's like, so there is this aspect of characters existing who are outside of this effects of the 0 point.
Yeah, that's true. And if you guys are curious about what we're talking about here, we touched on this in episode 1 of this podcast series, Unvaulted. You can check that out on all different podcast platforms. But Batman is considered to come, which I think is really exciting. Can you confirm that he will be coming when the comics release? That is what people are expecting. Do you think that's going to happen?
I have no clue, actually.
Because we have Raven, who is in the DC universe, which is exciting. A lot of people excited about Teen Titans eventually maybe coming through to, the Fortnite world. But people were also speculating down at Slurpy Swamps, and one of the comic pictures is Batman and that crew of people that you were talking about outside of Slurpy. And some people are now speculating because I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, that the water was all weird over there. I don't know if you had caught that. I'm sure you have, but the water was lower at Slurpee and now has been fixed to be higher again, which people might be speculating like they're messing around with that area to where maybe Batman creates a little bat cave or something in that area. Got any thoughts on that?
I definitely feel, because like we know that Epic Games loves like implementing like some things from different, like outside of the Fortnite world into Fortnite. Like we had a whole season dedicated to pretty much Marvel, and for some of the characters and stuff coming up, places just popped up out of nowhere, and we have the Rift system. So if they wanted to, or if they wanted to, since Batman's already here, just show like small changes and hints around the map, then show a bigger change, they can do that because they've done it before. So it's definitely something I could see them doing again.
That'd be cool. And if Batman releases when the comics do, kind of just like how we have, and I love this. I don't know if you're a fan of this or not, but I love it when they change the map every 2 weeks. They add like it's a little mini story. So we have the sheriff's office right now, which has taken place of it's kind of just in the middle of the map, kind of close to where the hero's little hideout area was.
Yeah.
There is a sheriff's office, and when we first saw it, there was nothing. It was just like brick and mortar. There's just like a little bit of wood on the side. And this last update, there's like half of a sheriff office. And what's fun about that is like we can expect to see, some changes happening across the map. We also have these weird what would you describe those the thing that showed up at Pleasant and the thing that's now at what is the Misty, yeah.
So actually this is a change you're going to see more of throughout the season, because it's called it's called fortified, and it's kind of just like barriers in a way at the edges of them. But in the files right now, they have ones for Pleasant Park, Retail Row, Sweaty, Misty, and they're going to continue adding like more, I assume, as the season goes on, which kind of shows over time, hey, people on this island are preparing for something, but we don't know what they're preparing for.
And these are like barricades, right? Like this is like, they look like, hey, do not come in here.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I think on PlayStation Grenade, there is, if you fly over Pleasant, if you're outside of the loading zone a little bit and you go into it, it looks like Pleasant Park looks different than when you fully enter. Can we expect that these barricades are going to hint to changes to those POIs, much like the Vikings did in Chapter 1, where there was like all of those like mansion houses that turned into like Viking houses? Can we expect something like that this season, you think?
I think we could definitely just see some changes overall, because, like, for example, Pleasant Park in the files right now, it has 2 different stages of those barriers or like fortifications. So as time goes on, I feel we will see more and more stages in different areas, just like putting up barricades. Maybe it's to like try staying away from the Spire Guardians and Assassins, or maybe it's to keep animals out.
So the barricades that we have in the map currently are stage 1?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, so stage 2 could either be big time, or it's just like, I don't know, like some weird tower or something. Because we've seen those throughout the map already. Those like kind of like I don't know, prehistoric towers.
Yeah.
The primal tower, if you will. Do you think it could be a more mass, like a stage 2 could be like big POI changes, or do you think it's just going to be relatively small?
I feel what they might do is it might just be like over time in the season, it will slowly change. So like maybe we see a barrier get bigger, or now there's like a little tower you can go in with a bow or something. But I don't think they'll like fully change like a whole entire POI overnight, especially during the middle of a season.
Yeah. When was the last time we had a major POI change during a season?
Well, I mean, there's been quite a few times, but I mean, every season we practically have, we used to have memes what Tilt did, remember that?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, interesting. I wonder if they'll do anything like that this season, because I feel like mostly changes to the middle of the map this season, right? Like,
yeah,
we have that Spire, and then we've got the new POI where Tony Stark's, I feel like they always adjust that area in particular, but we don't see anything on the outer rim. Is there strategy there from Epic Games to not post or not to update the outer rim areas, or is that just kind of like hearsay at this point?
I mean, like, I actually have kind of talked about this before, about just the middle of the map gets all the changes, and then stuff like the grotto has sat there just kind of destroyed for multiple seasons now, nothing really going on with it. And
yeah, it throws me out a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like, we sometimes do see map changes on the edge, like, for example, the rig being gone, but we barely recently have seen, like, any actual changes, and it seems to just be focused around the storyline in the middle.
Yeah. You know what? We got Flush Factory.
Yeah.
I'm sure people we're super stoked about that. But yeah, it's interesting, right? Like you got to cross the middle of the map at some point in time when you're playing, right? The storm's going to be on the other side. You got to kind of enter into any of these areas. But it's weird to me that they don't spend much time messing with POIs that are more on the outer rim. And I think maybe that's strategic in the sense of like you have to cross the map at some point in time, like, and I love what they did with the top left. I always forget, Coral Castle. Yeah. That place is awesome. It looks amazing, but nobody goes there. If you go there, you drop there, you're like, all right, let's do this. And like, now you have 999 mat, brick, but like nobody goes there. You're not going to get into a fight. And so unfortunately, I also think there's a little bit of like this, they probably have a lot of research of where people drop, and probably spend most time focusing on those areas.
Yeah, I feel like they focus more on the areas that have like, oh, hey, most people are dropping here over at Pleasant Park. Let's do some changes here that people will notice because people casually drop here. Where like the shark POI, well, what used to be a POI, I guess, has just kind of been destroyed for multiple seasons. We haven't seen it like really any changes with it since.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's weird. Okay, so one other thing I want to talk about is the progression of Epic trying out new features. And what I mean by this, I'll give you an example, is they'll add the Infinity Sword, and everybody is like, what did you do? But they experiment. Fortnite experiments a lot, and they aren't thinking in that moment of like, this is just that's not the end in its means. They are trying out exotic rarities and how to balance them in the long, they have a bigger plan for specific things that they add. And so the what became the sword is now NPCs selling exotics, or it was like destroying a boss and getting a really powerful weapon, but that boss was really hard to kill. Like they evolve a principle that they add, and then we get maybe more of a balanced result of something. So like you got marauders, you got like, like all of these things evolve into, now we have NPCs where raptors are chasing you in Fortnite, which is amazing. That's awesome. What are the things that you feel like Epic is strategically adding into the game that you could foresee being something that we could, realize in a future season?
So it's definitely like they'll release something and then try to modify it later down the line. Because like, for example, this season, we have animal bones and mechanical parts that we can use to upgrade weapons. And it's kind of like, we already saw this technically like 2 seasons ago with upgrade benches. However, they took the time and took like the feedback of people using it to actually make like a whole set of items related to specific upgrading items and making it like a built-in feature instead of being something where you have to go to a specific area, try seeing if the actual upgrade station's right there. And it's like, we do get features, but over time, I feel they definitely take like analytics on how people are using it and they turn it into a bigger feature later down the line.
Yeah. I'm very curious of crafting and how it'll be perceived. I'm curious if we are now, like, if Fortnite is like the future of Fortnite is now crafting, like, I'm wondering, is that now what we can expect? Or is this like primal, like in the future, it could be like technological, they can adjust it that way. But it's interesting because I don't think NPCs are going anywhere. I think we now have some of the technology from my brain is spacing today. The what is it called? The Fortnite, not Fortnite BR, but the single player experience. What is that called? Save the World. There it is. I never played it, so I always feel bad. Save the World has a bunch of NPCs, a bunch of like, we had literally the Storm King from there dropped into our game. And now we're seeing a lot more NPC oriented things, which I think is exciting in the sense of like, I love that sharks are around at any given moment. Somebody could just get chomped. Like they're evolving our game drastically, but I'm curious of a few things. And I think crafting, the future of crafting will be interesting. The future of NPCs, I feel like they are polishing and polishing and polishing, and we're getting something that is kind of exciting now. I know a lot of people hated the Marauders. A lot of people hated the IO guards because they were so unexpected. But I feel like I would assume, and correct me if you disagree, like I would assume we are going to keep NPCs for the remainder of Fortnite. And I would assume that we will have some sort of upgrading evolution as time goes on, but like maybe crafting will become more crucial to the game of Fortnite.
Yeah, I definitely feel like things like crafting and NPCs are here to stay. Like maybe we'll see changes with them where, like, for example, car upgrades. Maybe you can drive your car up to Sparkplug, be like, hey, I want to pay you 1,000 gold to put on these specific tires so that I can off-road or whatever it may be. I feel that like they'll continue to upgrade those features. Maybe they'll add more slots for more different types of like upgrades. Like maybe we'll get, I don't know, tree branches. You can make a sword or something out of just a tree branch.
Yeah, that'll be very powerful. +1 damage.
Yes.
You could use your pickaxe for 10 or a tree branch. Yeah, that's cool. I like it. I think overall what people tend to not realize is when they release something that they are testing for future seasons as well. Like they'll add something to kind of like, yeah, let's see what the community does with this. You know, here's an upgrade bench. You know what? No, we're going to make those portable. You know what? That didn't work out so well. We're going to keep them stable again. You know what? No, only certain characters can help you with that. Like it's the slow progression of Fortnite is really, really cool. And I think what's helpful for me when we have something like the mech show up is like, okay, like they're figuring it out as we go, rather than being so polished that we don't see updates regularly. Yeah, and I would hate for Fortnite to be that way. And I think people don't realize that when a new thing gets added and there's like all this hate and frustration and disappointment, I don't think you want it to be like Overwatch, where there's a PR, you know, like where you can like practice it all, and then you have to wait like 2 months for that to go into the game, and then you get it. Like, I don't know if I think people need to be careful with their criticism here, because it can be a little dangerous if we move to a model where, you know, we have to wait forever for something new.
Yeah, I definitely like see. I love seeing changes, even if they do get annoying. Like the mech sometimes would be annoying because it's like they're always testing things, but in order for them to get the best like feedback, sometimes even if it's people on Twitter being like, "This is trash, get rid of this right now," it still is better feedback than if they had like a closed group of maybe like 20 people looking at a thing.
Absolutely, like the alley skin. Let's get rid of that. You know, let's get an edit style on her. Like, what was that? You know, but that criticism, I think, is helpful when it's tempered in the reality that they are the game is a slow progressional evolution that requires feedback instantaneously, which I think is why Fortnite is so replayable, is the fact that like something new is happening pretty regularly in this game.
Yeah, we need a Squatingdog NPC so I can get that rematch though.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're gonna shift gears here, Ricky. We're gonna do your fans, not mine, and I'm gonna ask you some questions from your community. They wanted to know about you. A bunch of them are weird, so prepare yourself.
Oh boy, alrighty.
The first question I have for you comes from Linda Cohen from YouTube. She asks, "Hello, FireMonkey. Want a fire banana?"
Sure, why not? You can try anything once.
Imagine though. I don't know. That seems very. I don't know. Is there even potassium in a fired banana? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. Is it like putting in an air fryer? We'll have to find out.
Great. We'll get back to Linda on that, okay? Because
all right.
Apparently she has a bunch she wants to give you. Yeti Gaming also asks a similar question from Twitter. Just super curious about the fact, do you like apples?
Yeah, I do like apples.
Tell us a little more.
When I was younger, I don't think I really liked apples, just because like I didn't want to like peel the skin off or whatever. And Now I'm just like, all right, apple, I'll eat it. Chomp.
Great.
It's food.
You're pro apples. You have nothing against them.
Yes, apples, thumbs up.
Great. This, I think, attractive individual, the Squatting Dog on Twitter asks, how are the space bananas I sent you? You never got back to me. Were they delicious? Also, unrelated to the first question, but hypothetically speaking, who would be better at a Marvel Knockout LTM, you or Squatting Dog?
You know, this question I actually saw like a moment before I hopped in here. So to answer the first question, I have talked to you about it through your Twitch chat, but I have ate the space bananas. They're good. It's just the first time you taste them, it tastes weird right away, but then it tastes like a banana. So,
okay.
And in reality, space bananas are just bananas, but in space.
Dang. And you didn't even go to space to eat them.
Yeah.
So you're crazy. Wow.
Yeah. Now for the second question, who would win in a match? I don't know. I feel we might tie it, you know?
You think so?
Yeah.
You think we would tie, like, hypothetically speaking, we both somehow got matched together to fight each other in a Marvel Knockout LTM. You think we would tie?
Yeah, especially if it was for like a Venom skin, I think we would tie.
I may or may not have footage of me beating you though.
No. You know, deep fakes.
I could leak it, and you could get back to me on that.
Deep fakes are a thing. Don't believe whatever you see on the internet. Anyone can fake content.
Okay, I might just post it on the Unvaulted podcast. Just to let the viewers decide.
All right, yeah, we'll let them decide if it's real or not.
Okay, cool. Monkey Punch Egg 6 on YouTube asks or says, this is more of like a statement, and I was just curious of your thoughts. Getting famous of comments day 56 so I can live the dream. I live every day like it's your last. Shaka emoji. Apparently for the past 56 days, this guy's been posting on your YouTube saying that he's getting famous off of your comments. Any thoughts on that?
I actually have seen his comments since day one. I keep seeing him on like every video. I wonder how it's going for him. I wonder if he's gotten famous yet, you know?
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen very many people like it in all of the comments that I've seen.
Yeah, you know, I've liked a few of them though.
You should probably pin that every once in a while just to give that guy a little bit of a, zest to keep going for the rest of your YouTube career.
I'll make a video tomorrow. I'll wait for him and I'll pin it.
Okay, Lagging Ping from Twitter asks, when will you be getting your own G Fuel flavor? What would you call it, and what would the flavor be?
I don't know. I'll get a G Fuel flavor. You know what? Hold on. Let me go to G Fuel's headquarters real quick. You know, just gotta
text him up, dude.
Yeah.
That guy.
For flavor though, I haven't really thought about it that much. The only thing I ever thought of for like a flavor with G Fuel would be like just they do spicy flavors of stuff. They've done spicy lemonade for Demonade, which was like their collab with Doom. But we've never had spicy bananas. And it
Dude, you are so onto something right here.
It matches with the FireMonkey theme.
Yeah. I wonder how that would taste, a spicy banana. Or, if you will, a fire banana.
Ooh, true. You know what? We'll make it so whenever you open the tub, flames just come out.
There you go. That would be crazy. Okay, cool. So, fire banana, G Fuel flavor coming soon to a store near you. Nope. Use your code. Wait, what's your code on there? I'm going to buy it. It's just fire?
Yeah, just FIRE.
Wow. Okay. Use fire at G Fuel. I'm going to get it. Okay. Bull Smoke on Twitter. He asks, FireMonkey, why do you play in bot lobbies?
Look, man, you know, I got to be with my brothers, my sisters, you know, they're all of my fellow friends, you know, it's a friendly match. I recognize all of them, you know, I'll eliminate someone. I'll be like, oh, yo, that's in with Idaho. I haven't seen him in like a week in bot lobbies. You know, I have a strong connection with my fellow bots out there.
So you're just good friends with the bots.
Yes. You know, I'm there for them. I got to make sure that they know I'm here if they ever want to get eliminated.
I'm so proud of you for being like committing to that. Like, there's so many people that like make fun of bots. Like, oh my gosh, it's just a bot. Like, and here you are doing the hard work.
Yes.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay. Gaming Mike the First on YouTube asks, How do I leak?
You pay me $100 and I tweet on your account once. Disclaimer, I'm not accepting money. But if you want to donate,
here's my PayPal. But that is a good question in the sense of like, if somebody wants to leak and wants to participate, what would you recommend?
I have actually made a few YouTube tutorials in the past on like how to look in F model, how to use it, but even leaking programs change over time. So there will still, like, if I wanted to, I could probably make a new video on how to use F model every month because things would change. But in the reality, like, if you want to do it like how I did it, look up a YouTube video. Like, for example, you could look up my YouTube videos on it. Look up how they've kind of like described it, and then spend some time on your own to tinker around and figure stuff out. You may surprise yourself with what you find out from just the base knowledge.
Awesome. P. Crade on Twitter asks, FireMonkey, you got any cheese?
Yeah, I have. I'm kind of running low on cheese. I had to throw away some pepper jack cheese because it started molding way faster than it was supposed to. But I do have, but I do have some cheese.
Okay, cool. Just make sure you get back to them. I don't know why you don't answer these are like really helpful questions. You should be answering these people more regularly on your Twitter.
Should I go tweet out right now? Be like, Q&A, ask me anything about cheese.
I got cheese, guys. I got cheese for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Ruben TR68117257. Got some questions for that guy right out of the gate. But anyways, this person asks, what collaboration skin do you want in the game?
Well, there's this awesome leaker on Twitter named FireMonkey. I think he should get a collab skin, maybe like a pet, just a flaming monkey pet or something. I feel that would be pretty cool. Just saying.
That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
That honestly would be really cool. I've seen a lot of people create like what your skin would look like in the game, and I'm for it, bro. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
What about outside of you? Is there a collaboration? You like anime, right?
Yes.
You're into anime?
Yeah.
Is there any, not necessarily anime, but I was just curious if there was any type of outside collaboration. Like what would you be so stoked about and cop instantly if it was a skin in the game?
I mean, honestly, if they were able to make an anime skin that isn't like the cyber infiltration pack that was added this update, but if they were to make one that actually looked like an actual anime, like maybe, I don't know, My Hero Academia, Kill la Kill, something like that, I like those. So I would just pick it up right away. If it looked right, they did a good job, I would be like, buy, gift it to myself 20 extra times.
It's just everyone in your friends list gets one.
Yes. Oh,
That's
yeah,
great.
a Tetris back bling. I'd buy it.
Oh, actually, though, that'd be cool. Yeah, that would be really cool. You were like somehow you could play Tetris while you're like running. That'd be kind of interesting.
Have it as a traversal emote. You just have like the gamepad that used to be a back bling, but it plays Tetris on it.
Dude, that's genius. Wow. I hope Fortnite's listening to this. That would be great. Okay. Literally everyone online asks, which is just me saying I just saw this a lot online. Why does everyone ask you specifically to fix Fortnite? Do you have a connection with somebody on the inside? What is up with people taking out their frustration on you and other people's personal accounts?
So I do talk to someone at Epic, Dave the Buck, but I don't actually get leaks from him or anything, and nor do I talk about it that often, because if I do, people will be like, he tells you all the information. No, I don't get told anything. But I think just because some people see that I'm talking about, oh, hey, here's upcoming stuff, and I word it in a way where it's like, this will be releasing soon. Some people may take that as, oh, he works at Epic and he's just officially talking about this. Because even today I answered the question. I was like, do you work at Epic? I said, maybe.
So you're helping. You're definitely helping.
Yeah, I'm helping to make sure that they don't, think I'm from Epic Games.
That's hilarious. Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like a lot of content creators have this type of, I don't know, like it's just like I'm posting on it, man. Like I don't know. Like I don't know why they decided to take XP coins out through this season. I'm confused like you, but people just really take out their frustration. You're like, bring back double pump on all my posts. I'm like, homie, like sleep on it, bro. Like chill out. Like have some time to just relax about this concept. Okay. You got to let it go. It's time. But people just love doing it, I guess. Like it's such a weird thing.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't help whenever like I'll do a stream or something and someone will be like, when is Travis Scott returning? And I'll be like, oh, it returns May 17th, 2079 or something, just like super far away.
What's ironic about you saying that is this next question.
Oh.
It's so you brought this up. I am Fortnite FN. I don't know. On Twitter asks, FireMonkey, this is such a serious question, and I don't want to sound weird, but when is Travis Scott returning?
Oh my.
It even is. Legitimately the next question I was going to ask you.
I'll have to call him again to make sure it didn't change. But last I heard, it should be returning in around 37 and a half years.
Okay. You heard it here first. I'll be there. I'll be there. Or my son, who probably will take all of my stuff in my place. That's hilarious. Okay. So another notable person on your Twitter that I think needs to be like acknowledged. FireMonkey.
Oh.
Asks, notice me, senpai.
You have been noticed, FireMonkey.
Good job.
This also, this reminds me, back in like the early days of leaking, I don't see it anymore. It's kind of sad. Bring it back, people watching. There used to be like, the one time I tweeted about having a fly in my room. Someone made a whole account called a fly in FireMonkey's room and would reply to my tweets just saying buzz. And then there was like, FireMonkey's son, FireMonkey's PC. And it was just like, there was this universe growing of fire monkeys.
That's amazing. So get more fire monkeys. Well, Earth Monkey, I think we have an avatar vibe going. So maybe we'll get an air monkey and a water monkey. But just notice the guy, okay? He changed his name for you. Notice him.
I've noticed you.
And then Little Gamer on YouTube asks, FireMonkey, what is your Wi-Fi password?
My Wi-Fi password is I don't know actually. My PC does not actually have an internet card, so I'm just Ethernet all the time. I don't actually know my password.
That's amazing. You're like, I don't use Wi-Fi, kid. Okay, so before we wrap things up, I do want to honor chat. We got a lot of people here who have listened to this whole thing. Thank you guys for being here live on the unedited, very rough version of the podcast. If you guys have any questions for FireMonkey, I'd love to honor some of those if you have any questions. The first one I'm seeing immediately are you a bot?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
Love it. So I don't know. Jury's out on that one. Jury's out on that one. Taylor Tot says, Ricky, why are you so damn tall? 6'4", bruh.
I just want to mention that it's Tater Tots. This is actually one of my friends. But the reason I'm tall is because whenever someone becomes a mod on my Discord server, they're required to give me their legs.
Oh.
And then I attach those to my legs.
So you just keep growing. You're like a stilts on stilts type of guy.
Yes.
Got it. We got another follow-up question from the only Mesa who still is curious about your stance on cheese. Do you like cheese? I don't think he was here for that. Do you want to answer that?
Yes. Actually, I like cheese so much that Amazon's been recommending me like a $200 plastic wheel of cheese that I sent to my friend, and now my friend's getting recommended cheese from Amazon.
That's amazing. There's actually an account on Twitter that is a cheese account that has similar branding and color as mine. I don't know if you guys have run into it before, but it always populates for me. I'm like, wow. I tried to do a collaboration with them by shouting them out, be like, hey, you want to do this? And I haven't gotten them back. You know, they haven't contacted me. So hopefully one day we'll be sponsored by cheese. It seems like a really good question. I'm seeing a question here on what your favorite skin in Fortnite is. I think we talked about that, but do you want to preface?
So my favorite skin in Fortnite would probably be Kit Bash, just because it was the first skin that back when I tried doing renders of in Blender with to make like little just rendered images, I used Kit Bash. But my main skin is actually Sergeant Green Clover.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. What's your favorite Fortnite season? Scraggy 2K18 asks.
I'm going to be honest, as someone who's played since before even season 1 existed, I like every season. Every season does something different, and I don't really see it as a way to like... I can't really compare them to previous seasons because in reality, each season does something different, better, maybe worse than another season, but there's always changes that I like and changes I dislike. So it's always whatever the current season is.
Okay, last question for you. Question about Fortnite China. What are your thoughts on Fortnite China?
Fortnite China is interesting. I play it with G Matrix Games. Sometimes I haven't been able to log in recently because my Wi-Fi just doesn't like Fortnite China apparently. But it's interesting. They make some few changes that make it just cool to look at. Be like, oh wow, this is culturally different. But in reality, at the end of the day, it's still Fortnite.
Still Fortnite. Ricky, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. I am so stoked to have this go out. I feel like you provided some really cool information. We got to know you a little bit more. Is there anything that you would like to end on? Any shout outs, any way that you would like people to stay connected with you? Anything you'd like to say to finish us out here?
Yeah, so I would like to start by actually asking you a question. Earlier, you mentioned that like your son would take over your stuff in like 37 years when Travis Scott comes out. Would your son be named Squatting Pup? Yeah,
definitely.
All right.
Go through a rebrand. Hopefully nobody's using that. And if you're listening to this, don't take Squatting Pup or Pump. I'll be
Squatting Double Pump.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, definitely. 100% though. Thanks. That's a great question.
For shoutouts, I would have to say, if you want to keep up to date with Fortnite leaks, check out FireMonkey on Twitter or G Matrix Games on Twitter. He's the dude who helps me with Fortnite leaks a lot. And if you want to keep up with me, maybe you want to hear about me just taking a random photo of my face from a very unflattering angle, go follow my personal at I'm FireMonkey.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again, my friend. I appreciate you so much, and I'm so grateful that you would say yes to this. I'm excited for this to go live. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you guys, everybody listening to the next podcast. We got some other great people coming through the pipeline, which is really exciting. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great rest of your time. I need like some sort of, wait, what was yours? Table flip. I need some sort of catchphrase for the end of these because I never know. Like I've got a good intro at this point in time, but my exit's kind of garbage. What would you recommend for me?
And don't forget to buy cheese.
And don't forget to buy cheese. Table flip.